if you want to become somebody who runs their own business, then you must be willing to deal with failure. Do something out of the norm at least once a month. Best thing for an entrepreneur, being able to listen to what a client is saying and be able to realize what the client needs and sell it to them. Hello and good afternoon. Welcome to the Ethel Kofi Startup School. I am Ethel Kofi. If you're first time person joining us today, you're welcome. If you always come back to watch us, also you're welcome. Thank you for joining us again. If you're the first time, if you're a first time viewer, let me explain to you a little bit about what Ethel Kofi Startup School is and what it isn't. Now, the vision of the Ethel Kofi Startup School is to raise 1,000 entrepreneurs, scalable 1,000 entrepreneurs across Africa over the next 5 years. And the plan is, in these programs and in these series, is to teach practical entrepreneurship thoughts, ideas, and tutorials, right? So it's not about, it's not impractical, it's not a feel-good program, it's not a motivational program. It is about giving you the right practical tools to become an entrepreneur, if that's what you want to become. So welcome to all our new viewers. This has been an amazing week. It's been a really, really good week, even though it's a bit hectic. We had an amazing program yesterday, which is my foundation. If you know a little bit about me, I run Adele Technology Consulting, which is IT consulting firm of the year, a digital consulting firm that works out of Ghana and out of Europe. And then I also have a foundation, which is Women in Tech Africa. So this week has been an amazing milestone for Women in Tech Africa. We partnered with MTN Ghana. It's a 3-year partnership to grow technology entrepreneurs across Ghana. So we start from Accra, we go to Cape Coast, we go to Kumasi, and we go to Tamale. It will be a road show. There will be other trainers. I will be there for one day doing all the road shows. We will incubate 40 of the best and brightest women with amazing technology ideas, and we will incubate them for 5 days and teach them about how to, in terms of technology, how to technically build your solutions, but also about entrepreneurship, how to validate your business ideas. So if you're interested, go to www.womenintechafrica.com/girlcode. It's an amazing partnership. It's a 3-year partnership with MTN, and we'll be taking it across Ghana. Okay, back to the Ethel Kofi Startup School. Last week, we talked about, we had 30 minutes of just talking about how to create habits, success habits, right? So what did I say last week? Look, we all know, you and I know, that every new year, every program that we go, you know, we are excited and we are motivated about our dreams and ambitions, and then we come home and we do nothing about it. So last week was about finding and structuring daily habits for which you can, you know, become successful. So last week, what did we talk about? If you, for instance, if your dream is to build a digital marketing company, then if you bring it down to a smaller dream of, I want to be able to do 1-minute Instagram videos about how to use social media for marketing for SMEs, and you do it every day, that becomes a daily habit that takes you towards your goal. Okay, now, if you're watching this right now and you listen in next week, I want you to write in the comments, tell us about what daily habit that you have picked up this week and how did it go, because I know it's been only 1 week, but I'm excited that the lessons have been learned and people are picking up the habit. So if you're in the comments right now, just write one daily habit that you started. And also, this is an amazing program. This is an amazing show that is bringing entrepreneurship and teaching people about how to get ready for the entrepreneurship journey. So if you think there's somebody that needs to hear it, by all means, go ahead and share it on your timeline so that your friends can hear about it, your friends can hear the nuggets. Okay. So we are here for week 3, and as you know, as is our tradition here on the Ethel Kofi Startup School, we always give out a book at the end of the show based on what has been taught, so that we make sure that you've listened effectively. So this week, we're sharing, mostly we share Harvard Business Review books. So we're sharing this week the Harvard Business Review book on making smart decisions. And you understand why I'm sharing this book this week, because this week we're going to talk about failure. So it will be a very interesting sort of segue into it. So if you're interested in winning this book, there will be a question at the end of the program. Just pay attention and you might win the book. You come and pick it up at Paul's Ghana offices. Okay, so the first week we talked about how to get ready psychologically. One of the things that I said during the first week of this program was learn how to deal with failure. And I've had a lot of feedback from viewers on what that means. What does it mean, learn to deal with failure? So this week, instead of what we had originally planned, I want to delve in a little bit more about what that means. How do you learn to deal with failure? How do you get ready? All of this is on your journey to starting a business, right? So I'm talking to you who is in your corporate job, in your office right now, watching this over the internet, and you have a dream, you have a thought, you have an ambition, there's a business you want to run, and you're planning towards it. So you are the person that I'm talking to today, or you've just started, you're just at the beginning now, you're trying to figure things out. This is good for you. This is good to, it's good to learn, especially in entrepreneurship, where failure is almost a guarantee, unfortunately, right? Because if you look at the statistics, in Africa, 90% of businesses die out in the first 5 years. 90% of businesses die out in the first 5 years. It means that only 10% make it past the first 5 years, right? So we're here to give you the tools so that even if you are one of those people that have failed before, or even if you're one of those people that has been through a failure event, you know how to bounce back, learn, and bounce back from it, right? Now, let me tell you my story. If you sometimes I get a lot of people will say, oh no, you built a business, you built a foundation that's in 30 African countries, you built a business as IT consulting of the year. But I want to tell you my story about failure, and then so that you will understand that everybody fails. Everybody fails on a daily basis. And when you sit down right now watching me, you know that you failed at something at one point in your life, and you've moved on from it. So let me tell you, I'm going to tell you 3 stories. Story number 1. This is it's an old story, but this is from back when I was younger. So when I went to Infantiman Girls Secondary School, so any Infantiman Girls Secondary School person is listening, hello. And I was in, I think, in the top 10% of my class. Then we went to write SSCs, and then I failed my SSCs. This is not somebody who was failing in school. This is somebody who was doing well in school. Wrote exams, failed. I mean, everybody was shocked, right? Now, I went from there, and this was my first very major failure in life, right? I had to go back and, relook at my results and rewrite and that sort of thing. But guess what? I went from there to getting a second-class upper in my university, and then getting a master's in distributed systems. I was the only person in my class that I was able to actually pass out with an MSc in distributed systems, right? So from somebody who failed her SSCs to somebody who graduated with an MSc in distributed systems, which is a branch of software engineering. I was the only person that took that course that year. Nobody actually wanted to take that course. That's just how difficult it was, right? Everybody comes back from some sort of failure in life. I'll tell you a second story, which is also very interesting. So my foundation, the Women in Tech Africa, when I initially started it, I thought, okay, let me just do one small online event, right? So those are, I wanted to bring women in the technology space together to share ideas over conference call. And, I had everything arranged. I had my speakers, I had speakers from IBM, I had, all the setup. The day comes, there were over 150 women signed up from, Zambia, Rwanda, South Africa. We now start the program, it's online, and then it just won't work, whether it's internet, whatever. Can you imagine that I put myself out there to do this big event? 150 people signed up. I've invited these, at the time I invited the head of IBM South Saharan Africa, all these people, and then the technology would not work, right? Anyway, so at that time, I had really quick thinking. After an hour, I decided, okay, let's go and make it a Twitter chat. If you use Twitter, you'll understand it was a Twitter chat. And people went, and it was, they had a chat and the program ended. But guess what happened after that? Because the program wasn't just a conference call and we took it to Twitter, CNN Africa noticed the program and we were invited. This is an amazing story, right? We were invited to write an opinion piece which was published on CNN Africa about women, technology, and Africa. You never know. Failure is always a stepping stone to something better. So now that I've told you my story, you also know that, look, you've succeeded in things in life, you failed in life. Now I want to give you the tools. How do you manage when you've been hit with a failure? How do you manage that? Now, I'll tell you my third story. I haven't told you the third story while I go through this, because that's the biggest story. Now, the first point is when you fail, whether it's at business, whether you attempted to start a business that it failed, or you attempted to push yourself out of your comfort zone, do something that's out of the norm, and you fail. Don't take it personal. I know people are just like, really, I started a business and it didn't work out and I should not take it personal. But here's the thing, just because you have failed at something does not make you a failure. Two different things. You have failed at something does not make you a failure. Now this is where I start to tell you my third story. So if you know my history and my career, when I finished my master's in the UK, I stayed in the UK and worked a couple of years, and then decided to come back to Ghana and start a business. Now, I brought my savings to Ghana, I started the business, and then realized, look, I wasn't able to sell, I wasn't getting customers, I wasn't getting clients. At the end of the day, I lost all my savings. So in that situation, when you tell somebody who has left a job to start a business and the business has failed, you tell them, don't take it personal. I understand. I mean, if somebody had told me at the time, I'd be like, what are you talking about? What do you mean by don't take it personal? But here's the thing. You are separate. You as an entity are separate. Your identity is separate from the fact that you have done something that didn't succeed. So do not take it personal. I know that's hard to do, but understand that you're very separate from the actions of your failure. 2, take stock, learn, and adapt. So if I go back to my story of failing my business, what did I do after that? I decided that, okay, why did I fail? I asked myself the question, why did I fail? And I realized, number one, I was a technical person because I'm a software engineer by training. I'm an MSc in distributed systems. I'm a software engineer. I didn't know how to pitch to businesses. I didn't know how to go to a business and sell my ideas so that, a business will buy from me, right? I didn't know how to do that. I just know how to build software. Those are skills I needed to learn. I didn't know marketing. I didn't know advertising. All the things that I know now that I'm sharing, I didn't know any of those things. All I knew how to do was to build software applications. So then I said, what will I do to ensure that I learn all those things? And I went on to work with other companies. So I went on to work, I worked with Vodafone Ghana as head of commercial solutions. I worked in Sierra Leone, I worked in Nigeria. But I picked jobs that would teach me the skills that I needed to learn. So I picked a job that would teach me how to sell, that would force me to teach me how to sell. Because, for somebody who's a technocrat like me, selling is difficult. I don't know how to do it. So I picked a job that will force me to sell. In fact, my first week in Vodafone, what they do as orientation is they ask you to go with the sales team to go and sell SIM cards on the streets. And no matter your level in the company, from even if you are, head, you're the C level to the last person, everybody is required the first week to go and learn how to sell on the street. Why? Because the thing that is the bread and butter of Vodafone is the SIM card on the street. It doesn't matter the beautiful building that the company is in. It doesn't matter the glass. It doesn't matter. If Vodafone cannot sell SIM cards and Vodafone cannot sell, scratch cards, they don't have a business. So everybody in the business is required to learn how to do it, right? So I went to companies that I knew would teach me the skills that I needed to learn in my job. And that's how I adapted. Now, so the first one is, don't take it personal. I know that's really, really difficult, but don't take it personal just because you feel that something does not make you a failure. 2, take stock. Why did I fail? What might have produced a better outcome? Was the failure completely beyond my control, or was it in my control? And what can I do about it? Again, this is why I ask that you people write these things down, because these are stories from my personal journey of learning these things the hard way, and hopefully you don't have to learn it the hard way. Number 3, don't dwell on it. Do not dwell on it. Let me tell you another interesting story. So after I started my business again, like I told you, I had done the first one, failed. After I started my business again, a couple of years into the business, I had hired someone. I think I'd hired him. He had been home for, I think, a year or so. I'd hired him. He had been out of school. He had no experience. I hired him, trained him for about 2 years. And then after 2 years, he was working with one of my biggest clients at the time. After 2 years, he decided to resign. He didn't only resign, he convinced my biggest client at the time. This is true. This is a true life story. I'm telling you so you will learn. He decided at the time to not only to convince my best client to go with him. So not only had I lost my best worker, I had lost my highest paying client. Now, can you imagine how I felt and how I had to deal with that situation? But that's why I said, but don't dwell on it, because I took a moment, and true fact, if in that period, I remember sometimes I would sleep and then I'd just wake up in a sweat, right? Because you're thinking, how am I going to pay salaries? How am I going to, how am I going to take the business to the next level? How am I going to replace this client? How am I going to replace this employee? Entrepreneurship is not easy. Anybody tells you it's easy, it's a lie. It's a difficult path, which is why this is why I'm doing the FL Coffee Startup, so to ensure that you understand what it takes and you have the tools, learning from our experience and what we've been through, right? I dwelt on it for a very long time. I would, instead of rather just dealing with the problem, I was just like, I've been treated unfairly. I trained this person, and why would my clients leave? Because, at the time you're thinking, how am I going to deal with it? But I learned very quickly, look, things happen. And when they happen, you have to take a step back, understand that, okay, this is a bad situation, and then find a path out of that situation, right? Don't dwell. I know it's difficult. I've been there. I understand it. I know it's difficult, but do not dwell on the failure. Quickly move on. Deal with it emotionally and move on from the failure. You see, I'm telling you all my difficult failure stories. Entrepreneurship is it's an adventure. It's an amazing adventure. Now, before I go to number 4, I'm going to remind you of the book again. So it's the Harvard Business Review book on making smart decisions. You see, we are talking about failure. We're giving away a book on making smart decisions. So if you listen through to the end of the show, we will be asked the question. And you can if you are the first person in the comments to ask the question, then you can win the book. If you know somebody who is needs to hear this and is starting a business, by all means share with them on your timeline so that they will get a little bit of the knowledge about this. And please feel free to leave any comments. If you have any questions, please feel free in the video to leave any comments, your thoughts, and I will try and address them at the end of the program. First of all, one of the big things we worry about, this is the fourth one. One of the big things we worry about when we fail is how other people will think about us, right? So you went and you declared to your friends that, yeah, I'm starting my own business. I'm now my own boss. And then the business falls flat. Now you are thinking, what are my friends going to say? What will my friends think of me? What will my family think of me? Now, I know this because when I left my nice job in London to come to Ghana to start a company, it didn't work out. People said, I mean, why would you leave a job in London to come to Ghana? Right? People will say things to you. People will say things to you. You need to release yourself from the need of approval, right? Because you know what? If the religious people will say that it is only you're the only person that's going to go to the heaven's gate. It is, how it is your life, it is your ambition, it is your need, it is your dreams. There are people that will judge you. There are people that will see your failure, and they will, they will talk about it. They will make you feel bad about it. But release yourself from the need of approval. You do not need anybody's approval. If this is your dream and it is your ambition, look, the typical entrepreneur, I think, works on about 6 to 7 ideas before getting something to work. So if the first one doesn't work, you try the second one. If the second one doesn't work, you try the third one. It is documented. It's not, you're not the first person to suffer it. You will not be the last person to suffer it. Release yourself from the need of other people's approval. Yes, people in your church will talk. People in your family will talk. That doesn't matter. It is what your ambition is. That's what's important. And then the last one, which I will dwell on a little bit, is try a new point of view. So reframe your thinking. So, okay, so instead of me deciding that, oh, I'm not an entrepreneur, entrepreneurship is not for me, it's not my thing. After the first time I failed, it wasn't, and I'm not saying I woke up one day and I immediately thought like that. It was a process. But there's an example, Tony Robbins, who's a speaker, who's a coach and a speaker, he says, when a little child starts, when a baby starts to maybe walk and it's taking longer to walk, you don't say, oh, this child is not a walker, he's not meant to walk, so, never mind, right? Leave the child not to walk. You know that you will keep helping your child to walk until they're ready to walk. It's the same thing with entrepreneurship. The same thing with entrepreneurship. Just because it's one failure, or even 2 failures, or even 3 failures, that does not mean that that doesn't mean that you're not an entrepreneur. Maybe you don't have the skills, you don't necessarily have all the skills at the same. You can go, those things you can go and learn, those things you can go and acquire. It doesn't mean, a lot of people will say, I'm not an entrepreneur. There's a type of person that's an entrepreneur. If I'm not the if you want to say that I'm not the typical entrepreneur, right? I never, there were people that when they were in school, they were doing buying and selling. They were always sold something. I wasn't that type of person, but I still managed to learn the things I could to run a business. So, don't give up on the dream. Don't give up on the dream. Reframe your thinking, right? So me failing doesn't mean that I'm a failure, because if you just look at my one story, the one story that I told you at the beginning, that I failed at running a business, if I left it at that, that would be my only story. My story is, oh, I tried to run a business, I couldn't run it, so I'm not an entrepreneur. Okay, I'm moving away and out of my dream, right? So it should be that what you should tell yourself, and I'm going to read this out. If I fail, I am one step closer to succeeding. I am smarter because of the knowledge that I've gained through this experience. I know it's long English, but the point is, you've learned now what not to do, right? When you fail at, whether it is failing at getting your first clients or failing at hiring, the right people, it just means you've learned what not to do. Okay, next step, right? I think the guy that invented the light bulb, I'm told he did something like he tried 1,000 times, and he failed 1,000 times. I mean, really, that's quite a bit. But because of him, we have light bulbs right now. So because of you, we might have, there's a business, there's a, you might be the next, Ghana's, whatever, Ghana's Prince Amwabing, Ghana's, whatever it is. And so keep going. Speaking of Prince Amwabing, actually, let me tell you a little bit of the story I know. And I've met Prince Amwabing one or two times. This is the MD and CEO of UT Bank. This is one of Ghana's big banks. He succeeded after 40. This was not his first business. He had tried buying and selling. He had tried, import, export. And the story is that at 40 years, his wife had left him because, I mean, what kind of a failure of a man? Literally, that's what she said. And in the story is, what kind of a failure of a man is this? At 40, he hasn't succeeded. He went to the army, came back and tried to do business. And after 40 was when he started the UT, I suppose it was a microfinance at the time, to this place where they are a bank. After 40, his wife left him. Today, Prince Amwabing is celebrated as a captain of industry, right? He didn't give up. He ran multiple businesses, and those businesses all failed. And then he finally found UT, right? And we'll talk about innovation then, because he innovated a little bit. He found something in the market, which was a lot of export, import, export. Because remember, he had done import and export business. A lot of import and export people needed cash, quick cash, to take their money out of the ports, and the banks were not providing that, right? The banks would say, go and bring land, go and bring this collateral, and it's a long process. But your things are in the ports, and every day there are charges on it. So he, having done import and export, he said, no, you know what? If I can do a loan in 24 hours, especially for the people that are doing import and export, I would have cornered the market, right? That idea allowed him to corner a market alone in 24 hours. He's the first person in this country to do it. There are lots of people that do it now. He was the first person in this country to do it. And because the need was real and people understood that there was a market for it, he grew his business. So he started, was it Abosokan, was it Accra, that he had a small office, and they went from there here in Ikofa, and they went from there to the amazing UT now, they have a bank, I think they have an insurance firm, they have multiple businesses, right? After 40. So just because you failed your first one, just because you failed the second one, even if you failed the third one, if you have a dream and ambition, you will get there. So what were the points that we made today, so people will remember? The points were: don't take it personal. I know that's very, very difficult. Don't take it personal. To take stock, learn what you need to learn and adapt. Why did I fail? What can I do about it? 3, don't dwell on it. I know it's difficult not to dwell on it, but do not dwell on it, because the more you dwell on it, the more you can't find a solution, right? The more you are sad. The more you are, it's difficult, the more you have a hard time. So do not dwell on it. And then release yourself from the need of approval. Release yourself. Look, not everybody is going to approve of what you're doing. Not everybody is going to get what you're doing. That's absolutely fine. Not everybody, look, now that Prince Amwabing is a captain of industry, the people that didn't get him, they now get him, no? So it's fine. When you get to where you need to get to, they will get it. And then the fifth and final one is reframe your thinking. Try a new point of view. I have failed, that doesn't mean I'm a failure. It just means that I have, I found a way not to do it, and there's another way, there might be another way to do it. Brilliant. Okay, so now for the people that were asking me what does it mean to how to deal with failure, I think I've given you the points on how to deal with failure. I mean, if there's something that you need clarification of, please leave a comment in there. Please leave a comment in there, and I will get to it. So our giveaway for the week, the Harvard Business Review book on making smart decisions. So let's see. Let me check the comments and see if we have questions there, and then I will ask the question. So bear with me a second while I go and I check the questions. Okay. Okay. But while you're at it, please share. While you're at it, please share with. I can't see it. I can't seem to see the video. Please share with your. Can I have somebody check? I'm having somebody check what the questions are, if there are any questions, because I can't seem to see. Oh, I can't see the. Okay, I'm looking at the wrong page. Sorry. Forgive me. Bear with me a second. Okay, I think I'm on the right page now. So for those of you that have found this very, very, very useful, please, okay, so there are 8 comments now. So for those of you that have found this very, very, very useful, yes, please share with, so there are 8 comments now. Please share with your people. Okay, so there are Moga people, so YouTube, shout out to the Moga, the Mogas, but man or girls. We don't have a question. We have 8 comments, but we don't have a question. So now I'm going to ask the question, the first person that answers it. I'm going to ask the question. Remember to share the video. I'm going to ask the question. So what was the 4th point about dealing with failure? And how? So there are 2 parts of the question. Listen really well. What was the 4th point? And how are you going to ensure that you do not succumb to the judgment of people? It's a complex question, so there's 2 parts. So whoever answers this first, you can come and pick up the book. On making smart decisions. We've talked about failure, so I just want to make sure that we are learning how to make smart decisions, right? So for failure, you learn the things that you need to learn, make smart decisions. Okay, I think this is a wrap for us for this week. If you have questions for me, you can reach me at www.ethelcoffee.com or at ethelcoffee on Instagram, at ethelcoffee on Twitter, or Ethel D Coffee on Facebook. Just leave me a message. If you have a question, actually leave that there. I will try and address it in next week's show. If you are also interested in what I talked about with my foundation, Women in Tech Africa, partnering with MTN to take technology entrepreneurship across Ghana. Like I said, we're going from Accra to Cape Coast to Kumasi to Tamale, teaching the things that you need to learn on how to become a technology entrepreneur. If that's something that's interesting to you, go to www.womenintechafrica.com/girl code and apply, because we're looking at 40 of the best and brightest ideas. So it's been an exciting time with you. I hope you've learned a lot from me. My name has been Ethel Coffee. My name is Ethel Coffee, sorry. And I look forward to seeing you next week and talking to you more about how to go from, this month we're looking at how to go from corporate to entrepreneurship, and next week we'll round that off. So I look forward to seeing you next week, and enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you. If you want to become somebody who runs their own business, then you must be willing to deal with failure. Do something out of the norm at least once a month. Best thing for an entrepreneur, being able to listen to what a client is saying and be able to realize what the client needs and sell it to them.